What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. Um, I hope everybody had a blessed week. I definitely did. Tonight we have a very special guest, as we often do. This young lady is a healing and life coach. Interested to find out what that is. I'm sure you are too. She's an entrepreneur. She is a minister of sorts. She is a creative. She loads the popcorn machine. She puts the air in the tires. She ties the ties. She does it all. The question is not what she does, but what doesn't she do? This is Miss Angela Allen. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Miss Allen and her movement, I will give her a moment to kind of reintroduce herself and give a little background to who she is and some of the things that she has going on. So with that being said, you got the floor.
Hey, as you said, I'm Angie. Please call me Angie. I am a healing and life coach. I get that question all the time, like, what exactly is that? Basically, I walk with you on your journey of healing, whether it's healing from different things that have happened to you that may have, stunted your growth in like childhood or whatever. We kind of work together on kind of getting you restoration, kind of getting you back in the groove of who you are. I am an entrepreneur. I am a very much of creative. Like, you can't see it, but every painting I have in my apartment, I have I have painted. Please ignore. Don't judge. Don't judge my tree. Please don't judge my tree. I have a vision. I'm trying to make this little area of my apartment a forest. This is just the first step. And I realized afterwards, it looks like it's just there for Christmas. It hasn't. I promise. I promise. I promise. There's a vision here. Just come back in like a month. It's going to look completely different. I promise. That's my healing journey, okay? That's my healing journey. I wanted to grow up in a forest full of like trees and animals. I can't do it because I live in a city. I bring the forest to me, okay? So don't judge me. Don't judge me. I love you. Don't judge me. But that is me. As you can tell, I'm full of laughter. We gonna laugh. We gonna have a good time. And I am definitely somebody who's full on encouragement, affirmations. I do them daily on my Instagram every morning, Monday to Friday. I give out 7 affirmations that can carry you through the day. Sometimes people go back and revisit them and they'll carry them through the week, the month, however. Use them for inspiration for your own affirmations. So feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's _me_Angie_. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's a little about me.
Listen. She is really making it difficult. Okay. Miss Angie.
Yeah.
Okay, get it together. You gotta get it. Miss Angie, healing and life coach.
Yes.
Let's kind of go back to the, cut to the beginning. What made you even insert into this field?
It's one of the things I kind of, people say you stumble into something. I don't necessarily think you stumble into anything. I think it's just something you've realized you've been doing your whole life. So for me, I went to therapy and I started my healing journey with my therapist. And as I was doing it, I was passing on nuggets to other people that I've learned, tools and different things that I've learned while I was in therapy. And I found that I was helping people. So I have a very close friend of mine, one of my mom's best friends. I have pointed out to her, like, oh my goodness, I've been helping these people. Like, this makes me feel good. And she goes, Angie, you've been doing this your whole life. It's not even just that portion that you're helping people with, but you've really been encouraging and helping and affirming a lot of people my whole life. And she kept pointing out different times where she's even noticed I've done that. So after I really took some deep reflection, I prayed on it and I felt like God was like, this is one of the things I've called you to. So once I kind of took myself serious, because I feel like a lot of people don't take themselves as serious as they need to. And I always say the world and everybody's going to take you as serious as you take yourself. If you don't take you serious, nobody else will. So once I took myself very serious, I went through the course, went through the courses, got certified, and I've been helping people ever since. We come up with tools, we do paths. I'm goal orientated. I myself have a life coach. I have a therapist. I have Jesus.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's not us. It's not, you have a team working with you to achieve your goal, no matter what your goal is. I ensure that whatever your goal is, whether it's financial, physical, spiritual, no matter what your goal may be, and that's something we'll work out together. I make sure that I connect you with the right people and we're going to walk this path together. I'm a coach. It's like a basketball coach or football coach. They're not with you always, but they checking up on you. How are you doing? Are you working out? Have you ran today? What's your weights looking like? How are you eating? And then when you're in my office, but on their field, we running plays. We're doing all that because our goal is to win. And they're on the field, your goal is to win. But when you're with me, my goal is to help you win specifically and whatever it is. So it's kind of how I got into that. And it gives me satisfaction to know I was able to help someone else, especially since it's things that I've already been through. Your healing never really ends. It's just more of you learning how to handle different things. You're learning what triggers you, I'm not necessarily say avoid, but you can start seeing things afar off, and you're able to maneuver how you need to. And those are the tools that I give to kind of help steer you along.
Wow, that was a powerful statement that you just made. Healing never ends. That was powerful. I've never heard that put that way. That's powerful.
Yeah, it's a continual thing. That's like with your body. Your skin, for instance, your cells, they consistently move. You're changing. The skin and the cells that you woke up with this morning is not the same skin and cells that you're going to go to sleep with. Wow. So it's continuously moving and shaping, and you're going through life. New things happen to you. Sometimes new wounds open, and so you have to heal those again. For me, I suffered a bad injury on my left knee. So my knee never healed correctly. Not that I didn't do what I was supposed to do to heal it, but it's just it's where it healed. It didn't heal correctly. So anytime I do something like excessive, anything standing up, I have to heal it again. So it's like that, sometimes you're hurt deep. And so you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And so you heal yourself. You're able to put little, what do they call it? Little salve on the wound a little bit. You're able to cover it up. You're able to cover it up and it starts to heal. And it even looks good. You can take that off and your skin's covered over it. And sometimes things happen and you need to revisit it. You need to, go back and put a little more ointment on there. And that's what I'm here for, is to be like, hey, how are we feeling? How's that wound? How are you treating it? Are you even acknowledging it?
Right.
So, yeah.
That's an interesting point. Going forward, like I was reading your bio when you specifically mentioned church hurt.
That's a big one.
What is church hurt? And as a follow-up question on that, what is church hurt? And is it possible for a person not to know that they're church hurt?
Yes.
Kind of to your point earlier.
Yeah. Church hurt is basically things have happened in church, whether it's drastically or something small that affected you any kind of way within the church, whether it's the whole entire religion, or I don't want to say religion, a denomination or a specific person. While you were there, they hurt you. They either didn't hear you, they either wounded, I come across people a lot of times where they ask a question to people that they felt like were supposed to be able to answer this question. And it's nothing to that person, but they just didn't have the knowledge to be able to answer that question. So they left them with, don't question God, and you kind of left them out there to figure out who God is to themselves. And sometimes you stumble upon the wrong thing. And then you have some people like myself who have been hurt in the church by leadership. Growing up, I'm a female. We're supposed to sit down, be quiet, don't say nothing, don't wear this, don't do that. It's full responsibility on us for however men decides to look at us, and I can't help the way I look. I can't help my anatomy. So, and it's like, and sometimes we get hurt behind that. But then realizing, when you had mentioned some people don't know they've been hurt, you can look at some women in the church and men in the church, I will say, that just go through the motions. They're like, well, this is just how it's always been. No, somebody told you this. Somebody convinced you this is what it is. And that's not Bible.
Right.
If you're going to be in the church, we're going to talk Bible. Right. And so I get a lot of people like that come to me, especially since also I grew up in the church, and they find out I'm a life coach. Sometimes they sit down, they just want to have a conversation. I'm just like, that sounds like hurt to me. And one thing you have to acknowledge the wound. Right. Who hurt you? And then sometimes people sit down. I have a lot of friends who are actually not in the church. And a lot of them are I guess you call them, I guess this generation calls them deconstructing. Okay. They call it deconstructing now, from church. And they come to me and they'll ask me a question. And I don't know all the answers. Now I'll be quick to be like, I don't know, but give me a second. Let me find out, and I'm gonna get back to you. And I usually do. But then there's some that's like, well, I'm leaving church because yada, yada, yada. And then they take it out on the full entire denomination. And I'm like, don't generalize. One thing I always tell people, do not generalize anything. I said, what you want to do is you want to take it up with that church, maybe that body, or that person that hurt you specifically. And once you figure out what the root of a cause is, we can uproot it and we can keep it going. Wow.
So is it your job to have the answers, or
it's not?
How close to you how close are you to what you do? For instance, you're talking about, you mentioned church hurt. We were on the subject of church hurt. A lot of times, we're more effective when we can relate. So can you relate? Are you more effective because you can relate, or maybe just because of the time that you've been putting in doing it?
I would say a little bit of both. That was a part of my healing. If I can go down the list of things that I have been hurt with the church, from people being young and being attacked by adults because they didn't like my mom, or being older and being attacked by adults because they for whatever reason. I'm just joking. My mom had nothing to do with it. But being attacked, as I mentioned earlier, I can't help my anatomy. I can't help how I looked. And I've always been a more outspoken child. I've always been the person who have always questioned things. I'm an inquisitive person, and I've always been. And I learned at an early age, there's some things that you just can't ask everybody. You got to find that person to ask that person. And God blessed me with people around my mom's friends that were able to sit down, talk with me. We're going to go through the scriptures and we're going to figure out what the Bible says. And they taught me. But then at the same time, I remember I was at a church, and I had planned on leaving, and out of trying to do it in order with letting the leadership know that I was leaving. Keep in mind, I was like 13, 14 years old. My parents had already left the church. And I was like, I just want to, I'm following where I feel like God is leading me to go. And I was trying to, me and a couple of my friends, we had went to the first lady and we told her like, hey, we're leaving. And she told 13 and 14-year-olds that we're leaving to go find a man. I'm 13.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
What? No. And we were going to a smaller church that was majority women.
Right.
So it's like, it's stuff like that was like, is that really what you think of me? And then I've been in other places where I felt like I was used. I was consistently told I wasn't good, or I'm not good enough, or I need to be like this person. I need to act like this person. I need to, say this, not that. And I'm like, well, this is me. You're basically telling me I'm not good enough for whatever it is I'm doing that God has put me to. I didn't meet your standard, but I met God's standard because he's the one that told me to do this.
Right.
So I can relate because I have the church hurt them. And there's other times too, but just as those examples, I have church hurt as well. So I'm able to explain that and sympathize with them, as well as I do have experience and tools to kind of work with the healing on that.
What would you say is the biggest mistake people make when they come to you?
Thinking I'm a therapist.
Mm.
I'm not a therapist. You are not about to put me in jail for that, for trying to impersonate a therapist. I'm not. But I can get you in contact with one. I have a network of therapists, male, female, black and white, Hispanic too, that are therapists that are willing to take on new clients. And that's where a lot of people get it, or thinking that it's going to be, thinking that it's just somebody I'm talking to. No, we're doing work. They don't really realize how much work goes into this. And sometimes I work with your therapist, especially if I refer them out. I can't, now we don't go into notes or anything like that. Whatever you tell your therapist is between you and your therapist, we're not going into anything like that. But sometimes it's like, hey, so-and-so's coming to see you. This is what we're working on. This was the goals, yada, yada, yada. And I give very vague goals because, again, I'm not trying to, that confidentiality is with me as well. Very vague goals and different things like that. So that's kind of the things that we go through. So minimizing, not realizing how much work goes into coaching. Again, it's like a football, basketball, baseball. You got to exercise. We got to get in that field. We got to run. We got to lift them weights. You got to exercise the muscles.
How do you, and this is a question that I usually ask like pastors, anybody who is the head of an organization, anybody who is in like a leadership type of role, how do you manage your mental well-being in the midst of helping others? In other words, how much of a challenge is it for you not to take your work home with you?
It is a challenge because I have a heart, and that's one thing that's I've also worked with, and I had to learn the boundaries and where to start and stop. I do my best once I'm with you. I am fully focused. I don't think about nothing else. I'm not here talking about nobody else. I'm not even worried about what's going on at home. When I'm with you, and I'm focused just on you, because I feel like everybody deserves that. Now, the struggle for me sometimes is separating it. So I do have breaks in between. If I have somebody just coming after them, I give myself a good 15-minute break to decompress, to pray if I need to, because it's not for me to carry it. It's all for God to carry it. I'm like, hey, God, you heard in this conversation. Now I'm gonna need you to do what you do and work it out with them. And I'm like, I'm giving it to you, because I used to do that. I used to carry the weight of everybody on me. And it was so hard because, your body reflects how you feel on the inside. Any emotional state, mental state, your body's going to reflect it. And it was reflecting it so much in me that I really had to teach myself to lay my cares on God. And that includes the cares that people give me. I'm gonna go ahead and take that right on off. I'm gonna go ahead and lay that at God too. So for me, I had to learn to just lay it all on it and not take it home. Don't personalize it. Don't internalize it. I talk to you, we're here with you, but as soon as you're over, then 15 minutes, I'm praying and I'm giving it to God and I'm going to the next person. And then once my day is over, again, I pray for everybody at the end of that, all my day. I pray for everybody I saw that day. And then I'm like, all right, make my little note or whatever I'm doing, close that laptop, put it in my book bag, lock that door, and I'm out the door.
Okay, so with that being said, how much does spirituality play specifically when you're dealing with someone? I mean, I know that you pray before and after, but if I'm coming to you in a certain respect, what can I expect for it? I'm trying to frame the question correctly.
I think I know what you're saying. It's if I'm correct, tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But my spirituality is not reflecting anything that we do. If it's as little or as much as you want. If you don't want anything dealing with Jesus in this, that's fine, baby. The tools work with or without. If I'm referencing Jesus or not, the tools work. Because where I got my certification, it wasn't it was a life coaching cert. It wasn't a Jesus life coaching cert. So I'm giving you tools that work, whether I mention him or not. Now, if you come to me like, I want Jesus throughout this whole thing, then baby, once I get it to you, we're going to have scriptures written in. We're going to talk about what the Bible says about this. We're going to create affirmations, biblical affirmations, where so it's as little or as much as you want. Did that kind of answer your question? Okay, I can't hear you.
Absolutely, right on point. Right on point. Going forward, you like I kind of alluded to a second ago. You see a lot of things when you're dealing with a lot of people and with a lot of different issues going on. You see a lot of things up close, and you experience them with. You experience things with the people like up close. You might see sickness. You might see financial lack. You might see depression. You might see all types of different things. How has that? What have you learned about yourself in this process that you may not have known about yourself prior to?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. What I can say I've learned about myself is, how can I put this? I'll say this. I've learned that I'm able to listen. Now, hear me when I say this. A lot of times when you go do different things, sometimes people want to interrupt when you talk. And I used to struggle with that. That I used to be like, sometimes I'd hear, and I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm very quiet because I'm intensely listening. And I used to think people used to get irritated behind that because I wouldn't say anything. And then, especially if you're on the phone, they would look like, "Can you hear me? You saying something?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm listening. And I'm just not, So I've learned that, one, that a lot of people don't necessarily know how to listen, but that I'm a good listener. Okay. I've also learned that a lot of things that, not to over spiritualize this, but you don't go through anything without it being for somebody else. I've learned a lot of what I went through in my life has benefited me in this industry that I'm in. I've learned a lot about myself on how to set boundaries. Because with that being said, one of the things you mentioned was like depression. I dealt with depression for years. Prior to me going to therapy, I didn't even know I was in depression. I just thought this was how everybody lived their life. And that was wrong. Nobody lived their life like that but me. And what I've learned is I've learned triggers. I've learned what depression can look like in different people. I've learned words that people say that are like, okay, say that again. Now hear yourself say what you just said to me. I've learned that a lot. So the boundary is, when I find someone who's been in the same situation I'm in, I've learned that I can't jump to their rescue. Right. If you get what I'm saying. Sometimes I want to be like, "Oh, I know where you in. Oh, let me tell you what to do. Let me do this, and this. Go see this person. Talk about this." I've learned I can't do that. I can't be your savior. I can be your coach, but I cannot be your savior. Right. So I've learned a little self-control, little boundaries, and that I'm not everybody's savior. I'm here to help you, but I can only help you as much as you want to help yourself.
Okay. How I just had a question. How do you manage your business when in reference to dealing with people? You know what I'm saying? Are you conscious of what you share about yourself? How conscious are you about what you share about yourself?
I'm very conscious. I'm very conscious when I share about myself. I've learned when I first started this and I was being serious about it again, back when I first got my certification, I was sharing everything. And I was like, "Let me tell you about this. This is my life." But I wasn't helping anybody. Right. I was just letting you know about my life. And then I was also exposing myself to a lot that I didn't need to expose myself to. Right. So I offer the wisdom I have in accordance to whatever we're talking about right now.
Okay.
You don't need details. You just need to know what we're talking about right now. I've been through. And let me, that portion. I'm very, very mindful now on, let's give them what they want. Less is more, Angie. Less is more. They don't need everything. So, and I carried that throughout my life as well. Because again, starting out, I always say I'm an open book, because I am. If you ask me a question, I will do my best to give you an answer. I've always been that way. But when I was younger, I'd give an answer and then some. So I'd give an answer and then everything else, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I'm giving you an answer and then some.
Right.
But thanks to maturity in Jesus, I've learned, answer the question that is given and let's move on.
Wow. Is there a demographic, or is there a type that you will not help, that you refuse to help?
Nope. If you come to me, that means you're looking for help. And who am I to turn you away? I'm here to help. I'm here to help whoever is looking for help. We may have differences, and that's fine. As long as you're able to look, as long as your differences do not harm me in any way, we good. I can work through it.
How aware are you of the fact that you are a woman of color doing this specific job? Does that play a role in what or how you do what you do? Is that a factor? Or do you feel like that's a factor in reference to the people that you are, that you're dealing with?
I think it is a factor, but it doesn't play a factor for me. But I do think it is a factor. I have worked with majority Black women, because I am a Black woman. You go to people you identify with. But I have worked with majority of people I work with are women. I've only worked with one man. That's fine. You're fine. You can anybody's welcome. But I've only worked with one man. Again, because you go with those people you identify with, you're comfortable with. And I've worked with white women as well. But majority of people I've worked with have been Black women. And I think it's because I'm a Black woman that's why it's coming in. Black woman with locks and that kind of energy. And the white women I've worked with, whom are super sweet, love them to pieces. They came at the recommendation of other white women that I knew. Okay. So that's kind of how that came. But otherwise, I don't think they would have found me. But because I came recommended from other people that they trusted, that's how they got to me.
Wow.
Even in the class that I was in, I was the only Black chick. But that was fine. Right. I'm a flourish and bloom wherever I'm planted. So, and I made friends and network with them. Great women. I suggest, I refer people to them as well, if that's what you're looking for. Or if I'm not in your area and you're looking for someone in your area, then hey, I know someone in Richmond. I know someone in Appomattox. I know someone in Virginia Beach. If that's what you want, then I can connect you to who you need to go to. I think it's all about networking.
Now you mentioned that you've only to this point you've only worked with one person that was opposite sex, right? So this question is going to be kind of personal, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to answer. But I guess when you're in the position that you're in right now, you do in the genre that you're in right now, you become somewhat intimate with the people in the sense that you kind of know their business, you kind of know some of the things that they have going on in their life, and then some of these situations, energy can be misconstrued because you are so close, or what I'm saying,
I get what you're saying.
Close or whatever. Yeah. Is that something that you're cognizant of? Like, what? Is that something that you've prepared yourself for? Or you already,
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Because it seems like it could be easy for.
Yeah. It can be easy. It can come across that way. Even in my personal life, I have had people I'm just being friendly with because I'm a laugh and I'm a joke. We're gonna have a good time. Yeah. And it can get misconstrued. I'm like, friend, let me tell you. Hey friend, you know, stuff like that.
Right,
I'm
right,
gonna call you a friend real quick. Hey friend, hey buddy. Like I'm gonna make sure we understand what
right,
level we're on.
right.
But professionally, I don't allow myself to be put in certain positions.
Mhm,
I'm very mindful of it. If I know that there's going to be, if I'm with that one guy, for instance, super sweet guy, nothing like that happened.
mhm.
Um, but with him, we only did morning time sessions because that's where the office that I was in had majority people in there. And I would always, you know, very mindful of the time. I'd make sure but make sure we hit our points. Granted, still get personality across. We're still gonna laugh. I'm still gonna ask you how you doing,
Mhm.
different things like that. And I'm just very mindful, um, because I know my personality. I'm not saying I'm flirty, but I do know that I'm easy to get along with.
Right,
And as you said, I don't want that misconstrued at
right,
all.
right. I think that goes both ways. Like, since I've been doing this podcast, right?
Hmm.
Generally, generally, I am very mild mannered. I don't really speak much until, unless it's certain people. We all have our little circle that we
Yeah.
whatever. But I don't really, not really a talkative person. But just by virtue of doing this podcast, I've noticed that I'm more of a conversationalist now. Like I find that I can carry on conversations better in my regular life.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I could be talking to, a young lady or whatever that I've
Mhm.
known forever. And we're talking, and I think that people are not used to that. And so I get, well, why are you asking me all these questions? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of deep, you know what I mean?
Why are we having this
And
conversation, sir?
right, and it kind of comes off
Yeah.
like what you're saying. So
Yeah.
I get it. So
Yeah.
I kind of have to be mindful of myself, but it kind of happened without even me really trying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And then I would also say that has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it is the culture that we're in. It
Mhm.
is it is unfortunately rare to have a guy and a girl have a conversation and there's nothing between the two.
Right. Right, right,
Now
right.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It definitely happens. I have a few guy best friends
Mm-hmm.
that's just not our energy. We just like to kiki and have a good time.
That's right.
But outside looking in, you're looking like, she is always with that guy. Who is she talking to? I'm looking like they got
Yeah.
whole relationships. They are like brothers to me. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
not even like that. So sometimes it's not even on you. You continue. I tell people all the time, you continue to be you, bring the best positive you, have that conversation. Despite what it looks like on here and despite everything else, I'm an introvert. Baby, I would sit in this house by myself and be perfectly fine, read my book, and I'm just as happy as I want to be. Be content with my little plant forest that's going to happen here in about a month and a half.
Don't
With my plant
start. Don't
forest.
start. Don't start. Oh.
My little plant forest is going to be here in a month and a half. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And I don't like, the older I get, I don't like pointless conversations. So I'm like you. If I'm gonna have a conversation, I'm asking questions. I want to know about you. I want to, what are your favorite things? And I'm not talking about like your food.
Right.
Nah, what sparks you? What brings light to your life? What do you
Right.
do?
Right.
Like, and there's some things people just don't know that answer. I find people haven't spent long enough time with themselves to know the answer. And I can say for me, you asked me that 10 years ago. I'm looking like, that's a wonderful question. Church brings happiness. Is that church for me?
Right.
But you asked me that now, and I'm like reading a book, walking a trail, sunrises, sunsets. And when I ask those questions, a lot of times people do things like if they have kids. See, I don't have kids. But for people that have kids, it's like, what brings you like, oh, playing with my child. I didn't ask you about your kid. I asked you about you. What is something that brings you, specifically you, to the benefit of nobody else, brings you happiness?
Right.
And for me, like I said, it's those things plus painting. I love to paint. I will sit on my floor, turn on a YouTube tutorial, and I will follow along with that lady. And she's as goofy as she want to be, but I love her paintings.
Right.
And I will sit on this floor and I will paint because it brings me happiness.
Absolutely.
And then to the benefit of nobody. Don't nobody come to my apartment. I got a whole little gallery.
Wow.
Because it's to benefit me. It's not to benefit nobody else. Unless you're here and I'm having like a party or something, then you'll see it. But other than that,
Right. You brought up an interesting point just now when you were saying how you asked the person a question and they brought up their kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that inherently we are all that way. Like we associate, like I have two children. I have a 4-year-old and I have an 11-year-old
Mm-hmm.
in the house. And when people ask me, questions along those lines, I always find myself including them in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like I said, that's kind of like inherently what we do. You're asking about me, but I've spent so much time being in this space that I can't even really answer that question in the way that you are wanting me to ask, because I incorporate everything. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Everything that I do. You know what I'm saying? So how much of a challenge is that a big challenge when you deal with people, particularly people who are parents or are married or whatever the case?
Yes,
How
because that is a challenge. That is, and that's something I had to spend time with people who have children and are married, because I have neither. I'm not married. I have no kids. So I can't speak on what it feels like to be in those roles. So what I had to do was I had to seek out people who are in those roles and ask them, hey, how does it feel? Talk to me. How does this, da, da, da. So I'm able to, help those people, because a lot of times at the beginning, I ran into, well, tell me about you. What do you like to do? Well, I like to spend time with my kids. I'm not talking about your kids. I'd say it nicer, obviously, but I'm like, it's not about your kids. I'm asking about you specifically. What brings light to you? What brings light to Mike? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it is hard to differentiate, because everybody has an excuse. I'm like, well, I'm with my kids all the time, or I'm with my significant other all the time, and they do bring me happiness. And I'm like, I'm not saying they don't, but if for any reason they were to get away for a whole week or a month, what would you do to make yourself happy? And you cannot say sleep, because sleep is not happiness. Sleep is a necessity.
Right. Something we all do, right?
Exactly, something we all do. What is something that brings light to your eyes that everybody isn't specifically can't do? I like watching TV, but TV don't bring light to my eyes. It actually dulls your brain a little bit, because you go numb, even if it is a show that you like a lot. People have comfort shows. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I have a few, but all of my shows kind of lead me back to Star Trek. Don't judge me. I am a Trekkie. I love it. So for me, I will sit and watch any Star Trek and I'll zone out. That's not bringing light to my life. I find comfort in that.
Right.
But it's not bringing light. So it is a struggle sometimes to be like, what brings light to you? What energizes you?
Can that actually be the root of some of the issues that they have? Because we can't identify ourselves in the things that, and all the things that we do, we can't even identify ourselves.
Exactly. I come up with a tool, and we're going to work on you getting in touch with yourself. We're going to work together on finding things that make you happy outside of your everyday. We're going to try new things. We're going to go to paint nights. We're going to have a personal paint night, me and you. Or I'm going to ask you to have it paint yourself and bring me what you painted, or, or something like that. And that was just an example, because it's first thing popped in my head, but we're going to, it's whatever. We're going to try different things, because you never know what you like. Like for me, I didn't know I liked walking trails until COVID happened.
All right.
Everybody was forced to be alone. Everybody was forced to do stuff. At the time, everybody was baking bread. I'm not a baker. I knew that about myself. I'm going to burn it real quick.
Right.
I was like, I'm not wasting my money on this. So what I did do, I said, I just got up and just started walking. And I was like, well, there's a nice trail up the street. Let me walk that trail. And then that trail led to another trail, which led to others. And I love being outside. I love being in nature. I truly love it. And I would have never really known that about myself had I not tried that. Because to me, I was like, I'm a big girl. So I'm looking like, oh my God, what I look like walking for 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles? That just sounds like work, and I'm already tired.
Stop it. Stop it.
But if it's something that you like to do, you don't really know that you're doing it. They say when you do something you love, you don't really work. It's
right. Right.
It's kind of like that. You get me to walk up and down at my job, walk up and down the hallways 15 times. I'm a complain the whole time. But if you leave me outside in the trail, I have walked the Nolan Trail. That's 5 miles. I have walked that trail so many times and didn't even notice it because it's just something I like to do. You know, so it's again something I would have never known if I had never tried it. So I always encourage people, try new things, go new places, try new foods. You know,
right?
You never know until you try it. Don't knock until you try it.
That's a fact. Are you able to turn it off? And what I mean by that is when you're just kicking it, when you're just, you know, chopping it up with whomever, you know what I'm saying? Are you able to turn it off, or do you find yourself sometimes in your regular conversation? Oh, can you expound on that? That's interesting. Can you,
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you able to turn it off, or do you feel like you're always on?
I do turn it off, but there are some times in conversations, because I love a good deep conversation. There are some times, and my best friends can tell you right now. One of my best friends is a therapist, so me and her kind of go back and forth sometimes. She'll put on her therapist hat, and then sometimes I'm not therapist, but I can put on my coaching hat, and we'll like encourage each other. But then I have other friends. They'll say something. I'm like, let's explore that. Let's. What do you mean by that? Let's dig a little deeper. What are you saying when you say this? When you said this, what did you mean by that? Let's figure out what the root of that is. And then yes, it does irritate them, but I don't care. This is what happens when you're my friend. And then now I'm like, all right, we ain't got to go that deep. But I'm just saying, you said it, not me.
So, I mean, are there specific cues that you're looking for? Is there a specific word? Is there, you know, if I'm coming to you and I'm like, Angie, you know, I'm dealing with this, that, and the third. I'm not really feeling myself, whatever. I mean, I know every case has its own set of things.
Yeah.
But is there a common thread in all of it? Are there certain cues that you're looking for?
There is. Like if I was in a session with somebody, I have certain questions I ask. But if we were just having a random conversation, you know, kind of, you know, whatever, we're hanging out, and you're like, I just don't feel like myself. And I'm like, let's explore that. What do you mean by not like yourself? How would you say you're not like yourself? What are yourself normally, and how are you feeling right now? What's the difference? Are you saying you're sleepy? Are you saying your brain is fuzzy? Like, let's explore that. What do you mean when you say you don't feel like yourself? Because I can't tell you what you feel like. You can only tell me what you feel like. So it's just, I would just dig a little deeper on stuff like that. You know, even sometimes when people say self-deprecating jokes, and I'll be looking like, sometimes I'm like, that was funny. I'm not gonna lie, that was funny. And then if I keep hearing them, because I'll joke on myself in a heartbeat, but I do it not because I don't like myself, but because it's funny to whatever situation we're in, and then I move on. But if it's somebody who's continuously, we got to have a conversation, because there's something going on. Let's figure out this self-image. Let's figure out where your confidence is at. Where's your self-esteem? What's happening here? Have you talked to a therapist? Like, where are we with this? Because that also can stem from depression. Different things. Like, if you learn I learned recently that, and due to my own health issues, that there's certain things in your body, if they don't work appropriately, they cause depression. So, and you have to take medicine. That is not necessarily depressive medicine, but it's to help that part of your body work appropriately, so that way it won't cause depression.
Right.
So I've been like, for me, example, just a small example. One of the things is a thyroid in women. If your thyroid is messed up, it can cause depression. And like I said, I've dealt with depression for years in my life, not knowing that's what it was until I got to therapy. And my therapist, one of her first questions was, have you ever got your thyroid checked? And I'm like, I mean, granted, I had reasons to situational reasons to be depressed as well. But she was like, have you ever got that checked? And she's the one that made me go get it checked. And it all correlated the two. So between that and therapy, I was able to get back to myself, or to the me that was supposed to be me outside of the situations. And that sometimes is a thing too. People don't know who they are outside of a situation. You know, something happened to you and it completely changed who you are. and you're trying to find either who you never got a chance to be, excuse me, or who you were before the situation. Wow. And that can be hard.
Wow. Okay.
Especially what happened to you if you're an adult and something happened to you as a kid. You never got a chance to be the person that you were supposed to be because the situation stunted you, stopped you.
Right.
So trying to dig through that, heal that, work through that, so you can be the person that you're put on this earth to be.
Wow. Who would you say is your clearest or biggest influence in this whole journey? Like, who would you point to and say, this person inspires me to do what I'm doing?
There are so many people. Actually, I can't even say there's so many people. They're like, I'd say like 3 or 4 people.
Okay.
Because each one of them brings different pieces. My Auntie Jay, my mama's best friend. My mom passed, so okay. Whatever. So I came really close to her best friend. She kind of like she pulled me and my sisters right on in. Was like, we family, but now we really family.
Right.
And
Auntie Jay.
You're right. My Auntie Jay, she's definitely one of the people I look up. She's a therapist herself, and she has her own practice, and she's definitely one of the people that has always been in my corner, supported me. And I always tell people, if I had to be like anybody outside of my mama, I don't want to be like Auntie Jay, because that woman does not let up. She achieves every goal she ever put in. Okay.
Right. Right.
Achieving them. Okay.
Right.
And the other one I would say would be my mentor. I've seen, she's hella smart. I have no other way to say it, but one of the smartest people I know naturally, you know, and she's also one of those people that's very determined, and to see her life flourish, both spiritually, financially, and physically, how she just follows God, just faith, just one day wake up, God's like, hey, put on this and make a left at the light. Baby girl's putting this on and making a left at the light. Right. Me, I'm like, why am I wearing that? But the store's on the right. So I have yet to get, you know, sometimes I'm going back and forth with them. Right. And she encourages me just to lean into it. So when you, outside of my mom, because mom will always be that hero, that person, that inspiration to me to keep going, because she's been through a lot in her life, and she kept going. Right. She didn't let it stop her. Right. But between the two, I would say both of them are definitely people who encourage me. Definitely in what I'm doing.
Okay, so outside of the whole healing and life coaching journey, what else are you doing? What are you into? What's popping?
Outside of that, what do I do? Outside of that, I attend a lot of different events around town. I love to put them together. I have a couple of things I'm trying to put together. I don't want to give away too much information because nothing is set in stone, but I love networking. I love bringing people together, connecting people. I love being around. You never know who knows who. Right. Or I always say America is like this. I can't say nothing for the rest of the world because I don't live in the rest of the world. I live in America. America is not what you know, it's who you know. And you never know who somebody knows. So I love bringing people together and like minds. When you see people who have a like mind and they're all in one room, it's absolutely amazing. It is electric. It is everything. You know, for me, I work on a military base. Well, on a federal base is where I work. And to see those people come together in a meeting, and I'm admin, these are engineers and researchers. And to see those people in a meeting, yes, I sometimes joke around, I'm like, nerds, you know, I joke with them. They all know my personality, so everybody laughs. But when you see them work together to achieve a goal, it energizes me to be like, wow, this is amazing. And I like bringing that outside of work, and I like bringing that around people, no matter your background, no matter your religious stance. Let's come together. So I do those. I'm a mentor. I love to travel. I enjoy traveling a lot, as often as possible. Haven't done a solo trip, but I'm trying to work myself up to do a solo trip. But I love to travel often. So those are a couple of stuff I like to do. I love to read books. I eventually want to write my own book.
Okay.
I have created a journal that I print out for people that you're able to use. You can print it out as much as you want to, reusable. So yeah, so stuff I like to do.
Okay. So in the midst of this, in the midst of this journey, what would you say is the best advice you've gotten and the worst advice you've gotten?
The worst advice I've gotten, I'll start there because it's the one that I kind of picks out in my head all the time.
Okay.
It kind of goes back to a question that you've already asked. My worst advice I got was pick a demographic and stick with it. Don't venture out from it. And I get where she was trying to go, but it backfired majorly because if I picked a demographic, say for instance, I decided to do Asian women. If I'm like, that's my demographic, that's who I'm sticking with because I like anime. I love anime. So because I love Japanese art and cartoons, I'm like, that's my people. That's what I'm sticking with. I wouldn't be where I am now.
Right.
And refusing to not venture. You know, allow people. I always say the best advice I got was cast your net wide. Because you never know who you're gonna grab. It's not, and I'll even say this, it's not even about me. It's really about, I kind of just put it out there and I let God send it out and bring in whoever he wants me to help. You know, there's a have you seen War Room?
Yes.
Okay, at the very end, the lady prays a prayer. She's like, God, send me the next person to help. That's kind of what I do. I'd be like, God, send the people who I need to help.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. I don't care. I really do not care your background. I don't care your sexuality. I do not care at all.
Right.
The least, because it's not for me to care. I ain't here to judge you. I'm here to help you. And that's what that's what God, I can't even say that's what I feel like. That's what I know God put me on this earth to do, is to help people, his people, whether you like him, you agree with him, acknowledge him or not. I'm here to help you be the best you.
Awesome.
Heard.
So I just got a few more questions. We are here on Let's Take a Walk, and I'm here with Miss Angie Allen. She is a healing and life coach. She deals with everything, everything, church hurt, and you name it. She deals with it. She does it. You know. What would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
About the life coaching or about me in general?
It's you in general.
Me in general. That I am an extrovert. That is a common misconception. Again, because personality will make you think that's what it is. Also that I can be, depending on who you talk to, I can be sometimes blunt. And I'm like, I'm not blunt, but I am to the point.
Right.
I don't necessarily always like dancing around the bush because I can only dance. Again, I'm a big girl. I can only dance for too long before I'm just like, let me sit down somewhere. And I'm gonna sit right on this point right here. I'm sitting right here on this point. So I feel like those are two misconceptions I get a lot. I have what people would call a social meter. And it taps quick sometimes. Sometimes it's quick. And then, because especially if I'm with people all day, and I'll give you my energy and everything. That's what's also why I need them 15 minutes too, because between the people, I'll look like, whew, okay, here we go. And I'll put it back on. But other than that, those are my two big ones. Those are my two big ones, especially the extroversion. Two big ones, because I get invited places and I go and I stay for a little bit. I look like, that is crazy. What? Not it being 10 o'clock. That is crazy. All right. I'll be blessed now. You hear?
You are so crazy.
Step
that
right
is
on out the door.
okay. This is this is my last official question for you. This hour, I tell you, it has flew by.
It really has.
This is a question I asked all my guests.
Okay.
So when I ask it, just take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can give me. Okay.
No.
The question is this: what would have to happen in your life, if it has not happened already, for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
And that is a really good question.
Thank
Two good questions. Well, you've had all good questions, but
Yeah.
you had some good questions. That's a good one. It's actually one of my favorite ones.
Okay.
Because I ask people that this specific question I ask a lot. So to get it asked to me is hilarious.
Okay.
I think I'm on my way to success, but I haven't reached it just yet. Success to me looks like doing this full time. No matter where I'm doing this at, whether it's virtual, in person, anything like that. Success to me, and I'm not even meaning making a heck of a lot of money. That's not even it. It's me being able to help people on a consistent basis. I love my job. I love my 9 to 5, what I have now. I love it. But to be able to help people on a daily basis, that would be success to me.
Wow. Okay. I respect that. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, if somebody heard something on here tonight and it kind of sparked a thought or a question, or they want to seek your services, how can they get in touch with you?
They can follow me on Instagram. It is at its_, so ITS _me _Angie, ANGIE _. You can follow me on there. Feel free to DM me. Find me on Facebook. You can contact me as well. I do have a email that you can email. It's Angie, but it's ANGE. It's Angie's Life Coaching at gmail.com, but it's ANGES lifecoaching.com. So take the I out of Angie. Okay. And it's Angie's Life Coaching at gmail.com. You can contact me, reach out. We can schedule things. If you just want to have a consultation just to see what I am, that is free consultations, because it's not it may not be for you. Just see what you want, and then we can go from there. If this is how you want me to help you, we can go from there.
Awesome. Okay, Miss Angie, I thank you for coming on the platform. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I want to extend to you an invitation. Anytime there's something that you want to promote, or you want to talk about, or you want to put out there, consider this an open invitation to come on anytime.
Oh, great.
To come on and, hey, Mike, I want to talk about this, or I got this going on or that going on. We'll make it happen. Because this definitely will not be the last time that you will be on this platform. Hey. Because I need to see the results of the
Give me a month and a half.
Right. I need to see
a month and a half. I gotta wait for it, because I'm trying to get some elephant ears and a whole bunch of other stuff. A month and a half, man. I'm gonna have my little plant strung up here. Don't come for me. I'm gonna have a wooded area, forest.
Gotcha.
So I can sit in my little chair and read in the forest. Okay, have my little fan going. You got to see the vision, man. You got to see the vision.
I don't see it right now, but I cannot wait until it is complete. I would love to see
your eyes. Lord, I asked you to open his eyes so he can see my vision.
Just seeing that is worth you being. You don't even have to say a word. Just be like, ta-da! Like, look, check. That would be enough. That would be more than enough.
Give me a month and a half, man. It's in there.
I got you. It's a date. Again, I want to thank you for for coming on, man. I definitely, I appreciate you taking the time out, and I learned a lot here today. Um, Healing never ends.
Never is.
That's sticking in my mind. I think I'm gonna post that.
You should.
Um, uh, and that's what it is. Is there any last words you want to leave with the people before
Don't be afraid to reach out. If you need help, get help. It doesn't necessarily have to be through me. Tell a friend. If you're not comfortable and you want to tell, by all means, reach out to me, reach out to Mike, reach out to somebody. You're never alone. Even if you feel like you are not. People have been in that position before. You're not in something. Nothing is new under the sun. You are not alone. I don't even have to know you. Please know that I love you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I'm praying for you specifically. You are never, ever alone. If you need help, reach out.
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you very much for coming on again. I wish you much, much, much blessings. I hope that's grammatically correct. I wish you many, many blessings.
Both works, whatever works.
Eating abundant blessings.
Take the blessings.
A cornucopia of blessings.
I'm gonna use that one. Okay. Cornucopia of blessings unto you.
Absolutely.
I'm using that one. Now that I'm gonna post. You gonna post the other one? I'm gonna post the cornucopia, and it's gonna work out.
Deal. That deal. No, but yeah, I wish you many blessings on everything that you have presently going on and everything that you have going forward. I'm really feeling that book thing, in my spirit. I'm really feeling that. So, you should probably really explore that.
Yeah.
People need that. I actually had a life coach on last week. Shout out to Nicole Ellis.
Hey, girl.
I would love to connect the two of you guys unless you already know her.
I do know.
She does the same thing. I think she does a thing called Lioness.
Okay.
I think will be cool. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But again, I thank you and I appreciate you. I wish you much blessings on everything that you have going on and everything that you're going to have going on. I also wish you an awesome night and an even awesomer weekend.
That works too. Yes.
All right.
All right, Mike.
All right. You have a good night.
You too. Bye.
So there you have it. Another awesome interview with another awesome guest. Shout out to Miss Angie Allen and her whole ministry, her whole movement, her whole thing. Wish her much blessings. And as always, man, I encourage everybody who's watching. First of all, I want to thank you guys for staying on and watching. You can check us out if you didn't see it from the beginning. You can check us out on YouTube. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get that subscribership up. So please check us out on YouTube. Let's Take a Walk featuring Angela Allen. Check that out. If you want to watch it on Facebook, you can rewatch it on Facebook or whatever. But as I always encourage y'all, if there's something that keeps you up at night, if there's something that's clear in your head, that truly believe that God is leading you to do, then please step out, man. Do that thing. Press forward. As the saying says, as God gives vision, he will absolutely give provision. And so with that being said, please step out. Write that book, write that script, write that song, get that degree, run that mile. I don't know, whatever it is that you endeavor to do that thing. Because there's a remnant of people that are really depending on you to make certain moves in order for their purpose to be not only met, but to be discovered. Some people won't even know who or what they're supposed to be until they come across you or something that you've done or something that you sparked or created. So if you truly think about that, that's an awesome mantle to hold, and each one of us has it to us to whatever degree. So when you think about it like that, it should make you more purposeful in the things that you do. So with that being said, I mean, I want to reiterate, if you, I know you like that big word. I want to reiterate that if there is something that is spirit led for you, God, whoever, the universe, whomever you recognize, I recognize God, but whomever you recognize as the greater force in your life, if you feel led by that force to do or be whatever it is, you should step out, because like as I said, as vision is given, provision is also given, provided. So with that being said, man, I thank you all for coming out. Thank you guys for watching. Again, please check out the replay on YouTube, on Facebook. Please reach out to Angie. Please reach out to me if you got any questions. And that's just that. I'm done. So with that being said, man, you guys have a great night, and let's take a walk.